Welcome to Yoga with Megs. Today we're going to do some yoga to strengthen up our legs. So we'll get started on our mat, just taking a nice easy seat. Roll the shoulders back and down. Close the eyes, bring the hands on top of the knees. And we'll begin to bring awareness to the breath. Rooting the hips into the floor. Begin breathing deeply in through the nose and out through the nose. Bringing attention to filling the lungs completely. Expanding through the belly. And exhaling completely. And as we begin deepening the breath, begin to imagine the breath flowing into your legs, providing energy, providing strength. Just imagining it floating down through the hips, through the thighs, the calves, the ankles, and out through the toes. I'm really trying to visualize almost like a light flowing through the lower half of the body. Take a few more deep cleansing breaths here. Allowing the body to release any tension on the exhale. Relaxing the shoulders, relax the hips, soften the face. Gently begin to open the eyes. Taking our feet out in front, bringing the soles of the feet together in our cobbler pose. And place your hands on the shins, on the knees, on the ankles or feet, wherever it feels good for you. Maybe you even want to take them behind the back just for a little bit of added support. We're just going to start to bounce the knees up and down a little bit here, just loosening up through the hips. Releasing those hip joints and releasing the hip flexors. These muscles tend to get nice and tight from sitting all day, so if you're still working, sitting at a desk, then this is a really good one for you to do even just after sitting for half an hour. Take a break, sit on the floor. Maybe if you're small, you can sit on your chair and just let the knees bounce up and down. Just let those muscles release. I'll do that for a few more seconds. Bringing the knees together, coming into our plank pose. Hands are under the shoulders. Bring the toes to the back of your mat. Lift the hips up off the floor. Driving the heels towards the back of the room here. Option to make it a bit easier, dropping one or both knees. We're just going to use our plank here to start building a little bit of heat and warming up the body. So from here, again, if you need to drop a knee, do that now. And we're going to root those right toes down into the mat, pull the shoulder blades away from the ears, really push the palms into the floor, lift that left leg up off the mat, extending it out towards the back of the room. And we'll hold that for 3, 2, 1. Bring the left foot down, extend the right. Hold for 3, 2, 1. Bring the right down. We'll do it one more time, extending the left for 3, 2, 1. And extend the right for 3, 2, and 1. Bring that right foot down. We'll push back to our first downward dog. Taking a moment here, pedal out your feet. Shake those hips a little bit, just loosening up through the backs of the legs. Pushing those shoulders down towards the floor, really opening that chest. On the next inhale, we'll bring that right knee, drive that knee forward, step between the hands, pivot the left foot to face the long edge of your mat. And when you're comfortable, inhale, sweep the arms up into our warrior 2. Arms are parallel with the floor, gazing past the right fingertips. Driving that right foot into the mat. Keep that right knee locked over the right ankle. Feel power in the legs, building strength. On the next inhale, we're going to straighten that right leg, sweep the arms up to the sky, extending the upper body. Exhale, sink the right knee back down into our warrior 2, bringing the hands parallel to the floor. Inhale, sweep the arms up. Exhale, sink down. We'll do a few more this way. Inhale, sweep up. Exhale, sink down. Flowing at your own pace, inhaling as we extend, exhaling as we float back down into our warrior 2. And we'll do 2 more. You'll likely feel this one in your shoulders as well. From here, we're going to straighten that right leg, keeping the arms where they are. Start to hinge at the hips, pushing that left hip back, bringing that right hand towards the front, reaching as far as you can. Then start to bring that right hand down to the shin, a block, or the floor, extending the left hand up to the sky in our triangle pose. Keeping that left hip nice and open, we want to avoid collapsing to the front. So keep the chest pointing straight ahead or up to the sky. Gaze at the fingertips or straight forward, wherever it feels good for you. Just stretching through the back of that right leg. On the next inhale, keeping a slight bend in that right knee, come all the way back up, extending the arms. We'll pivot that right foot to face the long edge of the mat. Inhale, sweep the arms up. Exhale, pour the chest forward, coming into our wide angle fold. Keeping the chest open to the floor. Elbows are pointing between the legs. Driving the inner edge of our feet into the mat to protect those ankles. Feel free to adjust the width of your stance here. Just take a moment as we open up the back of the legs. You can bounce a little bit here if that feels good for you. Walking the hands to the left, grab that left ankle. Release, walking the hands to the right. And back to center. From here, we'll point the toes towards the outer corners of our mat, bringing the heels a little bit closer together. Start to sink the hips down. We're going to come into our goddess pose. So standing all the way up here. Knees are bent over the ankles. Push those knees out wide. Trying to get those hips straight under the body. Bring the shoulders back and down. If you find your stance is a little bit wide because of the last pose that we did, feel free to just shorten it a little bit here. We really want to focus on getting a nice good squat here. Again, keeping those shoulders back and down. From here, you can keep your hands on your legs, bring them into prayer, wherever it feels good. And we're going to start by just lifting one heel off the mat. Alternating back and forth, keeping the upper body and the legs nice and controlled. We don't want to move the whole body, just lift the heel one at a time. Really isolating our muscles here. Engaging those quads. You'll probably feel a little burn, you might be shaking, I know I am. I just want to really feel the heat building in this pose. Do a couple more. Remember to breathe. Nice and controlled movements. And release. Straightening the legs one more time. Turn those heels out. Pour the chest forward, hinging at the hips into our wide angle fold. From here, we'll turn the right toes towards the corner of the mat. And we'll start to walk the hands towards the right, sinking down over that right ankle, coming up onto the left heel. So we're really stretching through the back of the left leg here, sitting nice and tall. Again, we want to avoid hunching over like this. Keep that upper body nice and tall, keeping the spine straight and long. And we'll stay here for a moment, just feel that stretch through the back of the legs. And from here, we're going to work side to side in our low lunge. So 2 options. From here, you can use your hands for support, bringing them down to the mat. Again, try and keep that chest open and shoulders back and down. Using the hands to shift the weight over onto the left side lunge, coming onto the right heel. If it's within your practice and you want something a bit more challenging, we're going to bring the hands either to prayer or wherever you need them to help you balance through this back and forth. So coming from side to side, keeping those hands off the mat, taking your time, very mindful movements, using your balance here, maybe finding a spot on the floor to focus, engaging those legs, move nice and slow. Really feel the hamstrings starting to work. Keep that core engaged, keeping that spine nice and straight. Take your time here if you need to stop for a minute to reset. We want to make sure that our alignment is key here. So if you're starting to feel like you're shifting or something is starting to hurt, just take a second to realign those legs. And we'll hold here on the left side. You can release the hands down to the mat, just stretching through that right leg. On the next inhale, we're going to shift back over that right side. Pivot the arms around to the top of the mat, coming into our low lunge. Keeping those left toes tucked under. We'll just take a moment here to open up through that left hip and right hamstring. Just allowing those hips to sink down. Keeping the hands under the shoulders. From here, lift that left knee up off the mat. Inhale, bring the arms up. Exhale to prayer. From here, we're going to dip the left knee down and extend. Dip down and extend. 3, 4, really engaging the glutes and the hamstrings. 1 more. And lower that left knee, bring the hands down to the mat. Again, allowing the hips to sink down, really opening up. Untuck those left toes, shift the weight back over that left knee, extend the right heel forward, and start to allow that chest to pour down over the leg. Gazing at the mat just in front of you, keeping the shoulders pulled away from the ears. From here, we'll take the hands forward, start to shift the weight. Bring that right foot over to the left side, dropping the right knee behind the right wrist. And allow the hips to sink down in our pigeon pose. Bringing the hands flat on the mat in front of you, allowing yourself a rest here. Really opening up through that right hamstring. And shift gently side to side. Just allowing it to release and making sure that we're not tipped over to the right here if you need a block or pillow under that right hip. Keeping those hips nice and squared on the mat. On the next exhale, if it's within your practice, coming down to forearms or possibly head down to the mat. Just take a moment here to really let that right hip and hamstring release. Softening any muscles that are holding tension. Just allow yourself a moment in this passive stretch. On the next inhale, bringing the hands back under the shoulders. Spread the fingers wide, tuck the left toes under, and we'll push back to downward dog. Pedaling out the feet, shake out the hips, and push those hips up and back. And we're gonna go through this on the left side, so I'm just gonna switch sides on my mat here. On the next inhale, we'll drive that left knee towards the nose, stepping between the hands, pivot the right foot to point to the long edge of the mat. Inhale, sweep the arms up into our warrior two. Taking a moment here, sink the hips down, bringing that left knee over the left ankle. Arms are parallel to the floor, gazing over the left fingertips. On the next inhale, we'll straighten that left leg, sweep the arms up to prayer. Exhale, sink down. Moving mindfully here, flowing with the breath. Inhale as we sweep up, exhale as we sink down. Two more. And staying in our warrior two, we'll extend that left leg, Start pushing that right hip back towards the back of the room, extending the left fingers as far forward as you can reach. Allow them to come down to the shin, a block, or the floor. Extend that right hand up to the sky, either gazing past the fingertips or straight forward. Push that right hip back, really extending through that left leg. We'll hold here for a breath, allowing the left hamstring to open up. On the next inhale, engage that left leg as we come all the way back up. Pivot the left foot to face the long edge of your mat. Inhale, sweep the arms up. Exhale, pour the chest forward, coming in to our wide angle fold. Take a moment here, allow the head and neck to release, hanging towards the floor. And take one more breath here. Lifting the chest, pivot the feet so that the toes are facing the corners of your mat. And begin to sink the hips down in our goddess, lifting the chest and coming into goddess pose. Knees are stacked over the ankles, pushing those knees out wide. Tuck that tailbone under. Bringing the hands to prayer or keeping them on your thighs, wherever it feels good for you. And we'll start lifting the heels up off the mat. So we'll do it the right first. And then the left, giving a little squeeze every time we lift. Really feeling those hamstrings engage. Keep those hips nice and low to the floor. Feel the legs building the heat, building strength. Keep the chest open, spine is long. Again, trying to have minimal movement in the upper body here. Extending the legs, pivot the heels outward so the toes are facing the long edge of the mat once again. Inhale the arms up. Exhale, pour forward into our wide angle fold. From here, we'll pivot the left toes to point to the the right corner of our mat. Shifting the weight over into our side, lunge on the left side, coming onto the right heel. We'll take a moment here, just allowing the stretch through the back of that right leg. You use that left hand or both hands for support here, but again, trying to avoid coming all the way forward. We want to keep that spine nice and long. Two options again here, so we're going to go side to side in our lunge. So keeping your hands on the floor for support or bringing them to prayer or just out in the air wherever you find the best balance. And we're going to shift from left to right. On the next inhale, shifting side to side, just moving nice and slow, keeping that balance, finding that focal point. Really engaging the hamstrings and glutes here. Keeping the chest open. Moving nice and slow. Do one more. Hold here. Allow the hand or hands to come down to the mat for support. Stretching through the left hamstring this time. Start to walk the hands towards the left side, bending the left knee. Come around into our low lunge on the left side. Allow the hips to sink down, keeping the right toes tucked under. Opening up that right hip flexor. On the next inhale, engage the core and the glutes. Lift that right knee up off the mat. Inhale, sweep the arms up. On the next exhale, dip that right knee down. Inhale as we extend. Exhale as you dip down. Keep that core engaged. And we'll do one more. Lowering the right knee, lower the hands down to the mat. Stay for a breath here, opening that hip one more time. Untuck the right toes, shift the weight back over that right knee, extend the left heel, stretching through the back of that left leg, pour the chest down, keeping the hands under the shoulders for support. From here, we'll start to walk the hands forward. Take that left foot across to the right side, drop the left knee down. Allow the hips to sink into our pigeon, keeping the hands under the shoulders, and keeping those hips nice and squared on the mat. Again, using a block or pillow under that left hip if you need one. Take a few calming breaths here. Keep the shoulders backing down, really drawing the shoulder blades together. On the next exhale, if it's within your practice, come down to forearms or forehead down to the mat or the hands. Allow the hips to release, relaxing any tension, softening through the face. Inhale, walking the hands back under the shoulders, tuck the right toes under and push back to downward dog. Pedaling out the feet. Then we'll lower into child's pose. You can take a wide knee child's pose, so really taking those knees right to the outer edges of your mat. Sink those hips back over the heels. Walk the hands forward as far as you can reach and allow that forehead to come down onto the mat. And really allow the body to begin to relax as we close our practice. Feel the hips softening down. Feel the heart rate beginning to slow. And take a few deep cleansing breaths here, really allowing any tension, stress, negativity that you might be holding on to release on the exhale. I invite you to stay in child's pose for as long as it feels good for you. I'm really just feeling those hips open up and the body begin to relax. Thank you so much for joining me for our leg strengthening class today. Namaste. I hope to see you